Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. Back with the tips again this week. Gather round just finished up. My previous round of tipping wasn't the greatest. I got 6 out of 9, although I believe all the favourites won. So if I had just gone with all the favourites, then it would have been a pretty easy 9 out of 9. Yeah, there wasn't really too many surprising results in the gather round. There was some good games that went down to the wire, but yeah, no real upsets, which was unfortunate for me since I picked about 3 upsets, and yeah, it cost me. So that's unfortunate. Yeah, the ones I got wrong were Adelaide, Freo, and the Bulldogs. The Freo and Bulldogs easily could have won. Arguably, Freo should have. Couple of dubious free kicks paid late, or well, it was a non-touched call and then an abuse free kick, which I don't understand. Even if the abuse free kick was there, I don't understand why it was taken to inside 50. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, overall, not the greatest round of tipping. My God, I cannot wait for the school holidays to start. Side rant here. Yeah, the last 3 weeks or something, 3 or 4 weeks, I've had to rush out these tipping videos. 1 week, school holidays start, and I'll be able to make better tipping videos. Side rant over, let's get on with my tips this round. So kicking things off at the MCG on a Thursday night, Melbourne versus Brisbane. Melbourne coming into this game in very good form, won their last 4. Brisbane belted North Melbourne. However, I can't see them winning this one. Yeah, it was their first win of the season, but they were up against a really, really terrible side, it must be said. And I think that Melbourne are going to bring them back to reality again. Should be a fairly comfortable win. I'll go Melbourne by 20 points. I can't see Brisbane getting up in this one. Bulldogs and Essendon, Friday night. This is at Marvel Stadium. I feel like the Dogs, well, both teams lost in gather round. The Dogs will definitely come out of that game with more confidence than what the Bombers would have. The Bombers got smashed. 69 points in the end. Just really didn't look like putting up a fight at all. Obviously, the previous weeks there was all this talk about the Essendon edge, and they were getting the job done, but that seemed to just evaporate last week. And I think the Dogs are a better side on paper, and they should win this one. I'll go the Dogs by 17 points. GWS taking on St Kilda now. First game in Canberra for the year. GWS still undefeated. St Kilda, they beat Richmond. The round before that, they lost to Essendon. They haven't looked the greatest so far this year, the Saints. They're 2-2, beat Collingwood and also Richmond, so not the most convincing opponents. Collingwood, obviously, they haven't really got their season going. Well, they've won their last 2, but I still don't think they've looked that great. So yeah, this will be a tough opponent for them for sure, but I am going to tip an upset here. I feel like GWS have got to lose one eventually, and it must be said, their opponents haven't been of the highest quality either. They beat Collingwood comfortably, then they had North Melbourne, they beat them comfortably, West Coast they smashed, and Gold Coast in the end they did manage to pull away for about a 5-goal win. So they've beaten all their opponents comfortably. However, other than maybe Gold Coast, we'll have to wait and see on them. None of their opponents have really been of a high caliber, and I just think they've got to lose one eventually. Haven't played at this venue this year. Not that they, played poorly at this ground yet, but I just feel like maybe the change up. They might get a bit overconfident. And yeah, I reckon Saints are still going to be a good side, and yeah, I think they'll They'll upset the Giants in this one by 12 points. Carlton versus Adelaide. I've given Adelaide too many chances. I can't tip them in this one. I mean, Carlton undefeated. I don't think they're going to lose here to the Crows. Look, they put up a better fight against Melbourne, but their ball movement's just too boring and slow, and it is easy to defend. All that every bit of attacking edge that they had last year is just been lost. I don't know what's going on at the Crows. They were looking really good going into this season, but for whatever reason, they just have not lived up to expectations at all. I cannot see them winning against Carlton. Gold Coast Hawthorn, this should be an interesting matchup. The Suns have lost their last 2 in a row, so they'd want to get back on the winners list. Hawthorn, 0-4, but they're showing better signs. In the first couple of rounds, well, really, their only bad loss has been against Melbourne. In the opening round, or round 1, I should say, against Essendon, really inaccuracy cost them. They could have potentially won that game if they kicked straighter. Melbourne, they got smashed, so, that wasn't a good performance. But against Geelong, and especially against Collingwood, they showed fight and grit. Almost came back to win both of those games. So they should be able to make a good contest out of this one. Although Gold Coast in recent times have really beat up on the Hawks. They've beat them quite convincingly a couple of times, I can remember. And I don't think that they'll lose this game at home, but I'm tipping it to be another close contest. I'll go 8 points. Port Adelaide versus Freo. Port Adelaide at home. You'd really think they would win this game. Fremantle have looked good to start off the season. You could argue they were robbed last round against Carlton at the Adelaide Oval. Also, this is the 3rd week in a row that Port Adelaide have played at Adelaide Oval. So they must have a streak of away games coming up after this. Putting that aside. I think they should win this game. Should be a good game though. Probably be low scoring because every Fremantle game has been so far this year. But Port will get the job done by 9 points. They'll just be a little bit too good. Geelong taking on North Melbourne at GMHBA Stadium. This could be a bloodbath. Geelong have looked really good to start off the season. North Melbourne, first couple of rounds were competitive, and then they had a big loss to Carlton. They still showed signs that they were maybe heading in the right direction, but against Brisbane, just absolutely belted from pillar to post. They'll want to respond. They'll probably put in a better effort than what they did last round, but there's no way they get anywhere close to beating Geelong in this one. And I'll tip Geelong by 51 points. Although I think this has potential to be a much bigger blowout than that. And finally, we finish things off with West Coast versus Richmond. Potential to be a bit of an interesting matchup, this one. West Coast had their first competitive result last round against the Swans, so they should get a bit of confidence out of that. Were in front at halftime and looked like potentially being able to snatch that game, but in the end Sydney just steadied the ship and got the job done. Richmond, they looked good against St Kilda as well. Were for a lot of that game, they looked like winning. Just in the end, they probably just had too many injuries. They couldn't get the job done. And they still will have a lot of injury issues going into this game, like Tom Lynch, Noel Bolter out. They were out last round as well. I almost want to tip West Coast in this one. In fact, you know what? Should I? No, I'll go safe. I'll go safe on this one. I reckon it'll be close. 7 points. They'll really take it up to Richmond at home. They'll have belief. I kind of, screw it. I will tip West Coast actually. I want to tip them by 5 points. I've decided that I'm going to make the bold call. Eagles to get their first win. Yeah, I think they'll have their tails up after the last round. They'll take a lot of confidence into this game. Richmond are a high-pressure team and are showing fight despite the injury issues that they have. But yeah, at home, I feel like this is a good chance for Eagles to really lift to the occasion. And yeah, I'm going to tip them for their first win of 2024. That is round 5 over and done with. So we've got a bit of a change to the ladder. Geelong on top as one of the only undefeated teams, along with Carlton. Port Adelaide into the top 4. GWS fall out of the top 4, so does Sydney, who didn't play that round. The Bulldogs and Fremantle make up the top 8 as well. St Kilda just outside, as well as Gold Coast in 9th and 10th. And Collingwood, Essendon, Brisbane, Richmond still around the same part of the ladder. I've got West Coast moving up to 15th. And the 3 undefeated teams, sorry, not undefeated, 3 winless teams I've got after round 5 are Adelaide, Hawthorn and North Melbourne on the bottom. So that'll be this predictions video over. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Comment down your predictions for round 5 in the comments below. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.